Okay, so what we're going to do here is we are going to set up a couple of baselines. This is an old Radio Shack 2 meter set of all things, and we're just going to put on a couple of bits of test equipment first because I just want to be 100% sure that I'm not going mental. Very possible with me lately. Anyway, let's have a look. And to anyone watching this video, this is being specifically made for a mate of mine, and him and I are discussing just how to set up another particular test monitor. So if you're watching this, you may learn a little bit about the different test monitors we use, but don't expect to learn too much because it is sort of more of a, we're trying to nut out a couple of things going on. I don't mind making this one public, and I won't be sort of naming who owns what or anything, so it's not a privacy issue in that respect, but we are having an issue trying to work out a Marconi at the moment. So anyway, let's just set up the baseline. So we've got a little Radio Shack HDX 252. I had to buy this thing. It was, I mean, how many of these little things you see on 2 meters? So the baseline, let's have a look. We want to see how many watts are coming out of it. 21.2 watts. Just out of interest, I had a lead just earlier that looked brand new. Absolutely looked brand new, that lead. That was giving me trouble. I sort of went, it gave me about 11 watts out, and I thought, what the heck? And I quickly stopped transmitting because I thought, no, something's not right. And yeah, it was a lead that's given us trouble. And so these things happen too. So this is why we double check everything. We're going from N-type through to 259 here, PL259. And no adapters or anything there, so no loss really. So let's call it 21 odd watts coming out of the FM. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, bit of deviation, lots of deviation actually. I would have thought maybe over deviating a little bit, but that's okay. Hold the microphone back a bit and probably more 5 to 6 kilohertz. But okay, so that's good. So let's now put a bit of receive signal into it. And so we're getting a tone out of it, and we're putting in 1.57 microvolts. Let's take that down to 0.4 of a microvolt. Let's turn, oh, that is my volume turned down. Gee, that's receiving awfully well. That's at 0.5 of a microvolt, minus 113. 0.1 of a microvolt, minus 123 dBm. Okay, so on the old Motorola R2001D, doing exactly what it should do. I find the watt meter on this is sort of, turn it off, it's sort of okay. It's not bad, not sort of as good for PEP stuff on sideband, but you know, near enough. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw it on the IFR 1200 next, and once again, this is all about setting up a baseline to for when we get to the next one. But I was sort of wanting to triple check everything here. Hang on, I need 2 hands for this. Okay, got my connector on now. Same lead that we used over here on the Motorola, so that makes life a bit easy. And let's have a look on the power meter. We're looking at the second scale down. No, we're not. Sorry. We're looking at this this scale right here. So other way around, second scale up. So we're basically at 150 watts total there. And we're getting about, look at that, probably that same 21, 22 watts, something around there, close enough. Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay, so let's just put a little bit of noise into it. Let's turn our volume down here. Obviously, we're putting a bit more signal into that. Let's take it right down. Now, a little bit more, as you can see, let's go there. All right. So there's 0.5 of microvolt, and it's absolutely bursting through. Just getting noisy there. You can hear the noise on around 0.2 to 0.1 of a microvolt, sort of on the old little scale here. And we lose it there, and we gain it just under 0.1. But, you know, minus 123 dBm, no problem. So, all good. And I think, did we check, don't know if we checked deviation. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be good if I was in deviation scale. Hang on 2 seconds. Okay, so we are now on 20 hertz, kilohertz, sorry, 20 kilohertz deviation. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, yeah. So, fine. So, that pretty much agrees with the Motorola. So, these two agree, which is good. By the way, check this. Clean bench. We're not completely clean on the other side yet, but cleaner benches, getting there. Slowly but surely. Not quite clean there. So, I've tried to do a bit today. I've been out of bed, hospital yesterday, long story guys, won't even go into it, it's just boring. This is much more exciting playing with the radio. Okay, now we're going to go over to a Marconi, set up the same radio. Okay, so what we're doing here is we're taking the same radio. Now we're on a Marconi 2966A. Now what I've done is I'm just using a little Kenwood supply, separate supply for the radio to draw the current from. The reason for that is I'm using a 30 amp supply over here that's drawing 8.7 amps to run the monitor. So up front, and we all knew this, it's no issue, the monitor only operates from DC. It's got an AC supply issue that that was no problems, that was known. But now what we're trying to do is to find out exactly why, and we'll just get this thing on frequency. So we're transmitting on 147 megs, and what we've done is gone into transmitter test for the moment, but we'll show a couple of different ways of doing this. But and we're going in on the 150 watt input over here, and you've got an RF select which basically goes into the 1 watt input or over to the 150 watt input over there, which is all very good. Now, if this radio did this power, it'd be fantastic. So we're getting 100 watts that then transforms into 429.5 watts, which is rather crazy. So that has been very interesting. And once again, and don't worry about this here, there's just come unglued. And I just didn't want to do it all and clean it all up until we sorted out what's going on with it. Now, I can auto find the frequency on TX Tune, although it does have trouble doing that. So there's another issue in itself that I'm sort of going, no, actually I don't find it. If I go over to power in band, only getting about 11.9 dBm, 12 dBm, but it still doesn't auto tune or find the frequency, meaning that I've got to go in and say 147. Oops, sorry, now I've just stuffed that, didn't I? 147 point, and butt into my video anytime. Not that you can do that. Okay, so about 12 dBm, that 12.5 dBm that we're seeing there, and watts somewhere between 100 and 429.5 watts. Now, if we were to convert 12.5 dBm, as you can see, we convert it and we get 0.017 of a watt. So I'm terrible at doing those calculations. I used to have a chart next to my bench because I was terrible. So we know straight away that even the dBm conversion is doing something a bit strange. Okay, so let's go over to RF test, which is basically RF input output test. So receiver sensitivity, transmitter frequency, power, and what do I see straight away that we just need to test, check is, let me just go back to TX test for a minute because I know what I ought to change. Sorry, just the modulation type we want to put into FM, and FM deviation, that's fine, yep, no props. I'll just have a look at that. 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 1 2 3 4 5. So reading very strange on the FM deviation too. Okay, so let's have a look on our bar charts before we go back over the other screen. Got to give these a real push. These buttons haven't been used for a while, and this should come up and say ridiculous powers again, like way over 300 watts, 429.5 off this 21 watt transmitter, and the deviation level is just all out of whack there, as you can see. It's exceeding any commercial radio station over 100 kilohertz. So okay, something really strange going on there. Once again, I'll keep that on there, and still reading about 12.2 dBm. I think we said 12.5 earlier, but yeah. The bar graphs are agreeing across, so I mean, but certainly let's go now to RF test, and we're still reading 147 on the transmit side. Interesting, this power is just sitting here at minus 67. We've been trying to work out, if we go to auto tune, it still stays there. If I go to power over here, and then I hit transmit, we get that 429.5 watts again. And if we do it here, that 12 dBm around there. So yeah, we're really having a bit of a disconnect on, okay, so why? All right, so let's say we wanted to do the opposite. So we want to now check the receiver. I'll stay on here for the second, but let's just turn the RF generator to on. So ideally we're putting in a 1 kilohertz tone deviated at 2.5 kilohertz at minus 113.8 dBm. Now minus 113, as we saw before, receives perfectly on this radio, but we're not hearing a thing. So let's have a look, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go, sorry, I need to define this as in RF generator level. I'm a bit of a newbie on these, so this is why. So minus 115 is its limit there, but let's go right down to 10 dBm input. Absolutely nothing coming out, not hearing a thing there. So now let's just turn the TX tune to off. We're still on over here. Yeah, a lot of very not sure what's going on. So let's go over to the receive over here. Now, at minus 10 dBm, when I go to the receive test here, which makes me think I'm doing something wrong in the RF test area, by the way, but this is not as good as it looks in the fact that we sort of think we're having a win until we realise that it's just barely reading minus 10 dBm. Now, when I go to level, which it should be already set to, yes it is. So have a listen. It's sort of intermittent, losing it. Really, you know, sort of, it's kind of just hit, but you see, at the moment, even around here, we should be sort of getting quite a bit of signal into this. But it's almost like it is just completely doing nothing until I get right down to minus 10 dBm, and then it's just like whenever I'm sitting here, this sounds like about you know, minus 120 dBm, just, like as a practical sort of sound of what you think you'd be getting. And I'm trying to work out, okay, is it me? Am I doing something wrong here? I'm modulating. I'm RF generator on. The only thing I could think of was having a look at some of these band pass, low pass, etc. None of them tend to make any sort of difference with what I was doing. Signal and noise just becomes more like an intermittent sine ad, etc. But none of this is going to help me out, unfortunately, for what we're trying to do. So very weird. Still trying to work out, okay, what is it that it's not seeing or doing. By the way, same lead that we used on the other two bits of test equipment. I brought the lead across just, you know, to keep it consistent, etc. Even when I sort of go, all right, let's change it over to microvolts. So, you know, normally we say an S9 signal, 50 microvolts, in 50 microvolts. When I try to do that, it's really weird. It doesn't actually let me do that. I'll just try again. I'll put a point there. It might have been the point that was the problem then. Try that. No, okay. So when I put 50 microvolts in, that should be S9. I can barely just hear something there, but we know this receiver's good, and we know that, so something silly that, you know, I'm either doing or, oh man, you know, look, I love a challenge, don't get me wrong, but yeah, this one's been very interesting, just trying to work out what the heck I'm up to. Now I did notice, going back to the transmitter side, let me just turn that squelch, there we go. I did notice at one stage on the spec hand that we had some relativity to 147. Now just let me set that up again. Okay, so I'm just doing a single pass at the moment. Now I've got this set up between minus 50 and minus 90 dBm, as you can see, just to be able to have a look at it. I'll put it on repeat for the moment so that it'll just basically keep readdressing what as I'm transmitting. So as you can see, look, I'm seeing the spec hand showing some relativity, but the numbers don't make any sense. But it's really something that I'm hoping that I've got something in my setup completely wrong. One of the things that you can do with this is, and this I'd probably just want a bit of advice on, but there is a calibrate that you can go through and run calibration on each area, but generally I wouldn't have thought, sort of it was needed. This, sort of is something that I could certainly do and see what we see out of it. But I know the calibration will take a few minutes, so I might actually just run that. Because look, there's reading the manual, which I've got the original manual. I was having a look at the setup of the calibration. There's really not much you can hurt at this stage in the way that it's doing that. So let me just run a calibration. Okay, so that's a full calibration. That actually took a little longer than I thought, about 7 or 8 minutes to calibrate. So let's reset to power on state. So basically we're going to take it back to power on, and we're just going to let that reset and see if and it's better to do this live. My mate up the other end, it'd be good for him to sort of see this, just to sort of, because he may well say to me, yeah, listen, idiot, this is what you're doing wrong, and that's very possible. Okay, so we're in duplex test at the moment. No, let's just go back to TX test for the moment, and let's yeah, see, that's really interesting. I'm not putting any power into it, and it's okay. When I do put power in, 429.5 watts. It's almost like it was sort of floating for a second there just before. So let's go power in band. Now it's a shaded 72.7 dBm, and this is on with the tune on. So let me just change that to TX frequency 147, because it may be floating around, then megahertz. So now we're on a set frequency. Wow, that's really weird. Like we're full transmit there, 4.2 dBm, but that's just, let's go back over here to broadband. Comes up with 35.8 watts and we're not transmitting. 36, okay. Let's just see if we've got anything that's not, anything else that's not in the right position. I might just turn that generator off, but that shouldn't matter at the moment. No, none of that's going to matter. Yeah, okay, so there's that 429.5 watts again after calibration, and then it's just resting at 38.72 watts. So yeah, this is a really weird one. If I go back, let's just check with the spec an again, and I'll just bring ourselves up a bit here. Too far. About there. A bit lower actually. Better. Let's just go about 1 meg per division or so. That should be fine. Yep, okay. So really, after the reset, apart from some of these figures floating a little bit, nothing on the transmit side that's really changed. I mean, this is still going 100 watts to 429.5 watts. Imagine if this little thing did 429.5 watts. That'd be pretty good. Talk about efficiency. All right, let's just go back to the receive test again over here. So we are now, we've got on, sorry, we'll just go back to transmit and go RX equals TX, then receive test, because that'll put us on the right frequency. And we're on 147 over here. So let's just go RF level, and we're at minus 80 dBm, hearing absolutely nothing. Let's just put in 10 dBm, point dBm. Still hearing nothing after the reset. That's very interesting. We've got, yeah, we're modulating on channel 1 there. Yep, that's correct. 1 kilohertz, 2.5 deviation. It's all right. I'm just checking to see if we've got anything silly going on here. Yep, no, we're definitely in the right one. Okay, and we are now, after the reset, actually getting a little bit less, but I have a feeling that once I go RF level, let's go backwards this way. No, nothing at all there at the moment. At 147. Oh, just getting But hang on, let's just bring that. Yeah, which is minus 10 dBm again. Okay, so yeah, it's pretty much doing what it was doing before. Hang on, just turn that off. You can just hear it. But see how I'm changing there, it loses it. And I bring it back there, minus 10 to, yeah. So, unfortunately, yeah, there's no way this thing's putting out the same levels as the Motorola and the IFR. So something very weird going on. But that's the reason for this video, is so that we can sort of try and work through it and say, all right, what else could we be doing that's completely wrong here? And, you know, I've missed the boat on. Not a huge Marconi man, to be honest, so I won't be surprised if my mate says to me, hey, listen, do me a favour, can you just put it into this mode and problem solved? I'd love that. Anyway, but the purpose of this video is really just to show what we've had a bit of a look at. And unfortunately, it's doing some strange things, but I wish I had just a bit more expertise on Marconi's. But see, this floating power that's sitting there at the moment, but feel free to put comments in the comments section if you've used a 2966 before. Even though this is this is between a mate of mine, we're just sort of going through trying to work out what's going on. If you've got insight into it, please. I noticed that, you know, obviously they do a systems thing here. I mean, I can't believe that we need to be in any of these modes here. I would think we're just looking to be an analog system at the moment, just as no system. But check me out on that, just in case for some reason these have to be in another, you know, mode. But I wouldn't have thought so. But at this point, I'm so desperate, I'll try anything. But by the way, this one didn't have the SSB module, which was no problems. This one's really going to be more for FM usage on the other side of the bench here. And what else can I say? The duplex test really is not any different to doing an RF test, in the fact that we're really going to show the same things. There was some differences between, as you saw, between the RX test and when we tried to do the RX side off the input-output test. So there was certainly some misunderstandings that I was having there as to what was going on. So I think that we'll pretty much wind it up for now. At least it's given a video for my mate to have a bit of a look at and see what he thinks. I'm really lucky. We didn't get the books with it, but I actually had in stock, would you believe it, the 2966 manual, which was great. I actually had a 2965 manual as well. What's the chances, hey? I mean, really, my mate apologised he didn't have a manual. I said, well, guess what? How crazy is this? Anyway, once again, this is a open forum. If you can see something that we're doing wrong here, you know, please feel free to sort of drop us a note, because once again, I haven't had a lot to do with Marconi. I didn't really have any Marconis on the bench during my apprenticeship or during my trades. So, you know, I've just been learning. We've had a 2955 here before. We had a 2955B, which actually, the 2955B I would have thought would be so similar to this. And I found that was beautiful to run around. I didn't have any problems using that. So, you know, and that's what's making me think maybe we've got an issue here on the 2966. But once again, could be missing something. All right, thanks very much for those that have sat through 24 minutes of this video. You've got more patience than most. Good on you. For those of you that have any idea of, you know, where we should head next, certainly, you know, drop us a note. But obviously, my mate was that owned this before was a tech for many years, and you know, I'll be obviously interested to see what he thinks, because he was a bit of a Philips service guy, so they used a lot of these. So there may be, as I said, something really bloody stupid. This one didn't even get shipped down. This came down with Tanya, and the great news for that is it came right down a beautiful wooden box. It was so well packed, it wasn't funny, and it sat on the back seat of the car for the whole trip, so it you know, really didn't get a bashing from any couriers or anything. So we wanted to really get this one down in you know, one piece, obviously. But anyway, all right, well, look, thanks very much, and you know who you are up in Queensland. Thanks very much for having a look at this video, really appreciate it, and any comments really helpful. 73s, this is VK3 Charlie Mike, and you've just been watching 25 minutes of trying to get a monitor to do a couple of things. Cheers all.